Firstly, numerals to represent numbers using these clauses for giving explanations were first used by the ancient Romans, but they were overly complex and it took over 300 years. Also, they were accepted in other places in Europe and Middle East. This is the first long sentence, okay? This student, in fact, made a grammatical mistakes here, and I just used the word overly complex, and it took, so there is lacking of parallel structure. मैं एक चीज़ आपको एक्सप्लेन कर दूं, 5 बेसिक टॉपिक्स हैं ग्रामर के. अगर आप इनको प्रॉपरली पढ़ लेते हैं तो आपकी ग्रामर कैन बी improved remarkably. The first structure is subject verb agreement. Subject verb agreement. So give them. And the second one is conditional sentences. And third one is like a parallel structure. This is one of the most important grammatical structure because students most of the time use the word and, but, and yet. And grammar told me that when the words come in and, but, and yet, left hand side and the right hand side should be balanced. Should be balanced. This student, in fact, that on the one side he was talking about the grammatical clause, but, and they were overly complex and it took. So he was actually making a grammatical mistake over here. So the parallel structure explain you the left hand side and the right hand side between but and or, so you have to be balanced. That means that if the indefinite clause, there should be indefinite clause. If there's a verbal clause, there should be verbal clause. If there's an adjective clause, there should be adjective clause. And so if there's a noun, so both should be noun. Numerals representing 0 to 9 were unknown until the 12th century in Europe, and since then they had become an indispensable part of everyday life, and without them we would not have had computers, space travel, medicines, or engineering. He was a bit right, but grammatically incorrect. He made some mistakes for punctuations over here, so he given the answer explanation. This summarizes the text really well, and the most ideas are correctly identified. He was relevant. Content is relevant, and you'll be given a good score. The use of connecting words and how the summary flows could be improved with the connecting words being simple, firstly, but, and, also, and. So this is very important. So I just made it here in explanations. He made this kind of mistake, as well as this summary is above 70 words, so it loses marks for them. I intentionally write 70 words, so you have to live within the boundary. If you write more than 70, it in fact loses your marks by AI. In IELTS examinations of writing, there's no problem, but over here there is a serious penalty if you write exceedingly 70 words. Next answer, C, and answer C. Yes, the student had fake mistakes and he was reasonably not fully contented. It took. What do you mean by it took? Don't start your sentences with the common nouns. It took until what? It took. Numerals. So is your proper noun should come before adjacent. Use means a common noun like he, she. What do you mean by he? He means Mudassar and she means Ma'am Aisha. So Ma'am Aisha should come before she. So do not start your sentences with it. Don't start your sentences with because. Don't start your sentences with and. If you do, you're making a grammatical mistakes. Got that? And 12th century for numerals 1 to 9 to be accepted by Europeans, okay, but they have been of the greater importance ever since, and there's no matter of but. You intentionally use the word but, and then you again use the word they have been. Again, I did not understand that they actually refers to what. So you need to understand the subject-verb agreement in the grammar portions, and you must know that they represent numerals. It represents language. Means you have been clear that what refers to they. मैं जब इसको पढ़ रहा हूँ मुझे तो समझ ही नहीं आ रही कि आप दे किसको रेफर कर रहे हैं, मतलब दे का मकसद क्या है. Is a kind of common noun, so it must have something like a numerals. But numerals have been of great importance ever since. यहाँ अगर आप numerals use कर लेते हो, that actually makes more language more congenial, more clear. Importance ever since, and they have paved the way for developments in computing, space, travel, medicine. Again, in fact, the only problem is a day. Adjacent, you can use it as a following nouns. And medicine, engineering, nowadays, these numerals are part of our everyday life. So he tried to be very much summarized, but actually he missed important informations. So I didn't discuss about that, how it has been reached here. What are the names are actually very important, like Romans, Spain. The words are very important. Over here, the word is very important. In 1991, in Giorgio Armani, if you miss these two words, you are lacking in your conversations. In this second example, the 40% of the Gaza actually strip has been destroyed. If you miss 40%, and if you miss the word Gaza actually, so you are wrong, and you actually miss the major content. The France and 26 countries, these are very important words for you. So always look at the details, which is about the factual information. So do not miss that. Factual information should not miss that. I discussed about that, how Romans actually introduced the numerals in complex system, how this numerals travel into Europe first time 300 years before, and the first country name is Spain. So he missed that. So that's why I'll give a C score, because he missed, in fact, that important informations, and he tried to summarize that. Okay. Now look at the answer and explanations. The audio was summarized partly, but there were key points which were not included. I told you that he did not mention that numerals used were introduced by the ancient Romans, or that the system took 300 years to be accepted, as well as there is an error with the response. The response mentioned numerals 1 to 9 when it should be 0 to 9. Okay, so he used mistakes here. This is a factual mistake. Got that? Yeah. Another example is very horrific. Students made it things into on this answer D. Yes, everybody should read that and tell me your own general perspective, what kind of mistakes he made it here. The audio was mainly about numerals. Again, mistake is there. Please try to observe the mistake.
So it was not about numerals, but about their importance and
No. Very audio. You are plagiarizing. Basically, this is not the creativity. He is not asked you to discuss about the audio. So students actually crammed a sentence by making a audio. It's a nice song. Okay, so the audio was mainly about numerals 0 to 9. So he made the mistakes here. And that is plagiarized. These are memorized sentences, and believe me, students who memorize, they will lose their marks, and there is a negative marking for plagiarism, for memorizations, for introducing templates. Okay? The speaker stated such words as everyday lives, space, travel, medicines, engineering. So in addition to this audio talked of the ancient Romans, Europe and Spain. Again, there is no grammar, there is no sentence structure. He was just using the words by making that, and 300 and East and 300 years. ऐसे लग रहा है कि words लिख रहा है सिर्फ वो, अपने मतलब सिर्फ bullets लिख रहा है. He was not writing grammatically correct. Finally, the speaker, again the mistake is speaker. There is no need to mention speaker. Everybody knows that. So you shouldn't write the word speaker and audio and all this thing. This is a plagiarism. This is a memorization. This is a template. The speaker concluded the lecture by, he's not lecture basically. How do you decide is a lecture? You actually make it yourself. Don't describe personalities. Don't discuss about the quality of the sound. Don't discuss about the he or she. Discuss the content. So by stating interesting points, regarding what do you mean by interesting points? This is plagiarism. Write about the interesting points. So this student actually has memorized this sentence, this whole paragraph, and he'll be given lost that. So this is the irrationality on the examinations day, because there is no creativity. Student lost the marks for the content, the student lost the marks for grammatically incorrect, and actually his tone was absolutely rubbish. Got that? So come back to the answer explanations. This response scores a very low score for content. Content is very, very, very important. In PTE, the content is very important. Content means they should be relevant, they should be summarizations, they should be appropriateness. Means that you're talking everything with the true details, not with the against the details, or in fact the contrary to the details. The response uses pre-memorized sentences. Pre-memorized sentences, audio, lectures, interesting points. So these are memorized sentences which will lose your marks on examinations day. The final sentence is completely standalone and has no relevance to the audio. Finally, the speaker include the lecture by stating interesting points regarding the topic. What do you mean by that? मतलब ये सेंटेंस की डिस्कशंस ही नहीं हुई इस पूरे पैराग्राफ के अंदर, और आप सिर्फ अपने आप की वर्ड्स को पूरा करने के लिए आपने स्टूपिड सेंटेंस ऐड कर दिया. This is content is checked by human, and grammar and punctuations, and probably your spelling will be checked by AI. So you cannot fool to a human examiner by making such type of mistakes over here. Agree? So I just introduced these 4 different samples to clarify you that what you have to be focused more on. Summarize is spoken, text, and listening module. Got that? Any question about that? Any questions in your mind? IELTS and PTE for both ones. Taking notes of the main points and spotting details. And my major focus in multiple choice questions, you'll be given a lot of options in front of you. And you have to select one of the most important options which has been discussed here. Even in IELTS and PTE, everything is not arranged by the speaker. For example, I'm discussing with you that we'll be traveling to the dam which is located in Terbela. It's 4 and 5 kilometers from Multan, so we will spend one night over there, and everybody should be asked to take along their own tents, because we will spend the night over there. There's no accommodation facility on this geographical location. And I will recommend you to buy actually any kind of repellent skins of lotions, because there's maybe a flies, it can hurt your skins. And please do not forget to buy your own binoculars, so which is a good thing to view from the aerial, and that is actually highly recommended. So we'll provide you the meal for 3 times. And if you want to take your own meal, so you can take in a very much packing situations. Okay? I've discussed a lot of things, okay, over here. So you need to be discussed that which thing has been asked to take along with this trip. So everything should not be arranged. I found that the things in MCQs, this will be given in different orders. But I spoken conversations into different orders. So this is very important thing to remember, even in IELTS or PTE. And important things that details, time, places, things that happens is very important. So which places we are traveling? Okay, so how many days we will stay there? Okay, so where we will stay there? I just told you have to take along your tents. So we will live in tents. Okay, so how many meals will be provided by the company? 3 meals, okay. So do you have any kind of other meals by your own choice? Okay, so yes?
It was not given, so
You can do that, okay. And another thing, so which thing is highly recommended to take along with you? Binoculars. Mosquito lotions, okay. So this is a good thing. I'm just telling you that in these type of conversations, you have to read the MCQs before starting your listening. I want to recommend 7 seconds most of the time will be given it to you. These 7 seconds are crucially important. and you need to understand your MCQs before listening that. Students who are still listening and reading at the same time, they can be profoundly victim of different distractors. There are three major distractors used in listening. What are these distractions? One is called a homophone distractors. Homophone distractors. Anyone can help me to illustrate that word homophones? Having same sound. Homo means same, phones means sound, same sounds. English is a very tricky language, and sometimes you are unable to decide that I'm the head of the department or I'm the head of the tail of the coin. So the words actually, or we're giving a very attention to this matter. So vocabulary is an important thing to you. Homophone is something that I'll be telling you that would you be able to catch me today at 7 p.m. from the 60-story building? So I'm using the word 16 or 60 is a kind of distraction. So examiner voluntarily introduce this type of words to distract you. So this is a one choice for you, that homophone distractors so have to be focused more on illustrations or the idea rather than to focus more on the words. Okay. The next distractor is been popular is a synonym distractors. Even in IELTS or PTE, that this is very popular. Examiner distracts you by using a synonym or similar words. Students are expecting that if the words over here and the words spoken by me matches, you can select that. That is absolutely distractions. Examiner will never use a similar vocabulary words for the answers and for their spoken text. So always there is a difference. And a student who has an ability to discriminate between similar words. So you have to look at that. For example, I'm fond of watching movies, and I preferably to watch movies on animals. Okay, and he's written the answer that the person is in fact is very much curious about movies on zoo. Okay, you're probably expecting the word like animals, and he's using the word zoo, which is alternative words, so which has been used in the options. I use a word that skin repellent lotions, and it was written there is a mosquito or lotions against mosquitoes or any bad flies. So he can be able to translate that. I preferably ask you to take along with you a binocular, and it's written that as is a kind of any alternative word for binocular? Telescope? No. Microscope.
Ocular device.
Binocular. जिसको आप दूरबीन कहते हैं, is a binocular. Or so it's used in the words like any kind of devices which can be enjoyed to look at things. Optimizations means that you can look at them in closely. So he will use different vocabulary. So you need to understand that what he in fact told. This is distractions. Okay. And third distractions is a negative distractions. इन टॉपिक्स पे मैं ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुका हूँ और मेरे लेक्चर्स मौजूद होंगे डिस्ट्रैक्टर्स के ऊपर यूट्यूब पे या फेसबुक पे, आप उनको मज़ीद सुनिएगा, उसमें बहुत लॉन्ग एग्जांपल्स मैंने दी हुई हैं. नेगेटिव डिस्ट्रैक्टर्स इज समथिंग व्हेन यू फाउंड वर्ड लाइक ए impatient, so he was not feeling good. Impatiently means that he was drastically interested. So he was inconsistent. So it means that he is not consistent. So there's a lot of prefixes which can be used to change the vocabulary. So you can say them, I'm going to resit an examination. So it means that you're going to sit an examination again. Resit. So this is kind of a distractions which can be used for unpopular. So thing is not famous. So use the word unpopular. He's using the word not famous. So these words should be checked very critically because examiner use them just to distract you. Okay, so these three distractions can be checked a lot in your multiple choice questions, and always try to memorize time, places, things that happen. That's a good thing. And practicing details and factual informations. And the best practices come from news. Whenever you listen to news, so please try to find the most peculiar mathematical, statistical informations, which in fact improves your listening. So keep note taking is important during your listening. Okay. Next, please. मैं highly recommended, even in IELTS or in PT. जी? Artificial entity with the consciousness. Did you find any keyword over here? No. This is a very important word. Is if conditional sentence. Condition has been given over here. And if consciousness could be explained, scientists are unlikely, and another word is unlikely. This is a very important word over here. Examiner basically play on these words. And he's saying they're likely, so unlikely, that means that there's a probability that you can be able to find that. These are key words in the conversations. Consciousness can be altered by clearly explained in scientific terms. Yes? Altered. Replaced by. And the term is scientific terms. These are two key words over here. For the most part, humans do not think about the fact that they are conscious beings. Yes, fact. Do not think about the fact. Thinking about the conflict between the part of the self which is acting and the part of the self which is conscious raises intriguing questions. So, which is the word? Conflict is a very important word, and intriguing questions. Conflict, there's a gap between this whole information. आप पूरे sentence को याद करने के बजाय conflict पे focus करेंगे क्योंकि conflict है किस चीज़ के ऊपर. We should never take it for granted that we are seeing what we are seeing. Granted means that do not take them everything granted. Granted means do not believe it, what you are saying it, okay? And the structure of the human nervous system is unusual. Unusual. So this is the technique. The key words in the sentences. Do not try to memorize the whole sentence. There's an unusual, means that unexpected thing happens there. There's something which is unfortunate, which may be different. So examiner changes the vocabulary. If you're expecting unusual, no, he's changing the vocabulary. You're maybe actually using the word if, and you're looking that he may be giving any conditions for that. And the word is altered by, so he may change that. He use any interchangeable, and they're different terms. People interpret in different ways, so is altered. And for the most part, humans don't think about the fact. So fact has been given there. So you're trying to say that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 is a fact. Humans behave accordingly when they'll be given a different experiment. So fact, you are looking for the word fact. No, he will never speak the word fact. He will always use a situation of the fact. And thinking about the conflict between the part of the self which is acting and the part of the self which is consciously raises intriguing questions. So you're probably looking at the word conflict, and he's saying that some people believe that and some are thinking in this way. There may be a different widespread differences between the thoughts, so it's a conflict. You may be expecting the word conflict in the conversations. No, he will never use that. We should never take it for granted. We are seeing what we are seriously. He will translate that word as granted. Means don't believe on everything for lifetime. Experimentation actually is different things. So what we are seeing, it may be different from that. Even actually, the table you're looking on this table, it's looking very flat, but you'll take a microscopic observation, you'll find a lot of parts. So he's saying that don't take things for granted. You should not expect him that he will use the word granted. The structure of the human nervous system is unusual, so he probably never say about the unusual. Say that structure is in fact different from humans, from other systems, and they behave differently, and sometimes unexpectedly. You got the unusual? Yes. Go for the next slide, please. Clear? Is this clear? Okay. The next one is keep listening until the end, even the information you need that. I want to recommend for the PT students, because in IELTS you don't have enough time because you need to select that. You need to be, in fact, understand the informations and differentiate between your question types and the question MCQs and your option which you heard that, and try to measure time, sequence, places, dates, years, and most important thing. So 30 students are sitting in my classroom. So which is an important fact here? 30 is actually is a factual information for you. 40 degrees Celsius is the temperature in Multan nowadays. 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, so the comfortability of the chair most of the time does not have a lumbar spot. Comfortability. Okay, so this is something factual information which you need to be more focused whenever you find the word years, time, dates, day, months, places, people names, and Louis Pasteur has invented Barcelona. So Barcelona is actually a keyword, is a kind of a city name, and the Louis Pasteur was the name of the person who actually discovered that. Okay? Read the options again after listening to eliminate any option that seems clearly wrong. There are two kind of things. Examiner is a fascinating personality. He, in fact, has an edge of psychological understanding. Sometimes I'm telling you that 30 students are listening to my lectures, and I'm trying to explain to you that only 28 students who are listening to a lecture is a wrong information, factually wrong. I just told them that France actually tried to make a contract with 26 countries to fight against Ukraine, that the war should be ended. So if I use the word Spain instead of France, so your answer is wrong. So factual information is wrong, so option is wrong. And sometimes I'm saying it to you, you are requested to take along with you a binocular. It's written that there is no need to take your telescope over there. So it's a wrong information. So always try to measure that. Examiner use negative distractor most of the time in MCQs options just to discriminate that. It's written that you should not take binocular with you. And I'm telling you the binocular is the essential element you should bring along with you. Wrong information. Listen for meaning, not just for individual words. Again, I'm telling you most of the time that this facility of the chunks. Chunks is something that do not try to be more focused on vocabulary, individual words. Try to be focused more on sentences. So that's why for native listeners, I want to ask them to please try to listen to long documentary programs and try to understand what is meant by that. 40% the Gaza Strip has been destroyed by Israeli fights. We have been clear that 40% actually is a key factor in this whole conversations. Refer to your notes to check if the options you have selected are correct. So notes taking will also help you. You have written these notes for you, so it can help you in order to make your NPT. In IELTS, this exercise is not remarkably important for IELTS. I want to recommend whenever you'll be given an option, so please try to read the option enough different ways. But in PT, you have enough time for making notes, so then you can make notes and actually try to check that the notes actually are conversing with your MCQs. Don'ts that do not select option you're unsure about that. You lose points for choosing incorrect option. They get negative marking. It's been started from 7th of August. Before that, there was no negative marking for the wrong options, but now is there. In IELTS, there is no negative marking. If you lose your mark, so there is no negative marking behind that. Do not focus on vocabulary only. In this task, you may need to identify the attitude or purpose of the talk. Okay? This will also be important in the conversations. Get distracted. Do not get distracted by unfamiliar words that may lead to missing important details of the talk. So distractions, I told you, that have to be focused more on detailed words. And do not decide based on your personal knowledge. Do not employ your own knowledge. You might be familiar with this task differently. I'm telling you that Pakistan came into the existence of 17th of August 1947. You knew that. I'm wrong, but you need to follow me that 17th of August is the right answer. Do not use your own knowledge. I'm telling you that the sunlight actually is not necessarily important to grow more plants, but you know that the sun actually is an essential element, so don't use your knowledge. Rely on the speaker, what he actually explained the information to you. Do not guess because there's a negative marking for these questions. I told you there's a negative marking for PT, there's no negative marking for IELTS. Got that? Any questions? I'll be going for next slide, please.